This is NASA TV.
Good afternoon from NASA's Johnson Space Center, and welcome to NASA's SpaceX Crew-4 Crew News Conference. We are joined here today by the 4 astronauts from Crew-4, NASA astronauts Kjell Lindgren, Bob Hines, and Jessica Watkins, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti. NASA's SpaceX Crew-4 mission is set to launch aboard the Crew Dragon Freedom spacecraft on a Falcon 9 rocket to the International Space Station from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The commander of the Crew-4 mission is Kjell Lindgren, and he is also commander of the Crew Dragon spacecraft. Kjell is responsible for all phases of flight from launch to re-entry, and this will be his second trip to space. Bob Hines is the pilot for the Crew Dragon spacecraft and second in command for the mission. He is responsible for the vehicle's performance and systems, and this will be Bob's first trip to space. Jessica Watkins is a mission specialist for Crew-4. She will work closely with the commander and pilot to monitor the spacecraft systems during the dynamic phases of launch and reentry, and this will be Jessica's first trip to space. Samantha Cristoforetti is also a mission specialist for Crew-4. She will work closely alongside Kjell, Bob, and Jessica, and this will be Samantha's second trip to space. We will be taking questions here in the room and on the phone bridge, and also through social media using the hashtag AskNASA. But before we get to questions, I would like to invite the Crew-4 commander, Kjell Lindgren, to make an opening statement. Take it away, Kjell.
Thank you, Dylan. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone that's here in the room today and joining us online and on social media. It's really exciting to have this opportunity to kind of formally talk about what we're going to accomplish on the space station during this upcoming mission. You know, I know that I speak for the entire crew when we say that we are incredibly excited about this opportunity. It is such a privilege to be a part of this team, and we're really excited about launching and getting to the space station to conduct our mission. This is an awesome crew, and so excited to be a part of this this crew with Samantha, Farmer, and Waddy, and then also to have the opportunity. I think Samantha and I are really excited about getting to see Farmer and Waddy launch for the first time, and just to see how they adapt to being in weightlessness and to kind of to realize this lifelong dream. We're excited about launching on a U.S. rocket from Kennedy Space Center. Both Samantha and I had the opportunity to launch previously, and so to do this from Kennedy Space Center, to have family and friends join us in that experience is really a remarkable thing. And we're excited to get to orbit and to conduct this mission, to conduct the science and research to improve life back here on Earth, to conduct the operations to research to help us succeed in our mission to return to the moon and to go on to Mars and extend our presence in the solar system, to do the maintenance and repairs to ensure that we can conduct safe operations on the space station, and really to serve on a team that inspires the next generation for what is possible to do when we work together as an international partnership. So we are really excited to be at the end of our training flow and looking forward to our launch on the 20th.
Awesome, thank you, Kjell. So we will go ahead and get started with questions here in the room, on the phone, and on social media. We'd love to take your questions on social media using the hashtag AskNASA. Just a reminder to those on the phone, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your phone, or *2 if your question has already been answered. A reminder to folks who are asking questions to the crew, we ask that you keep it to one question for the time being so that we can make sure that we have enough time for everyone, and time permitting, we will circle back for some follow-ups. So let's go ahead with some questions in the room. We'll start with Mark Carreau.
Thank you, Mark Carreau, for Aviation Week and Space Technology. Could the appropriate ones talk about some of the spacewalk activity that's planned or that you're prepared to do that could be, significant?
you want to talk about that?
As it tentatively stands, obviously with everything, it's all subject to change. But as it stands right now, we are slated for two U.S. EVAs. Samantha may get an opportunity to do a Russian EVA. The U.S. EVAs are primarily focused on continuing the replacement or the modernization of the solar array or the power system for the space station, what we call IROSA. And so our EVAs will be what we call IROSA Prep, where we're installing these modification kits that install brackets, which the actual IROSA solar panels will be installed on future EVAs.
All right, continuing the questions, let's go to Gina Sinceri from ABC News.
Gina Sinceri, ABC News. Before we started, I noticed really you guys seem to get along really well. So the training, who wants to take this? How important is that camaraderie on a mission like this?
Yeah, I can answer that. It certainly is a big part of the kind of culmination of our training, especially. Our training kind of starts out, we each kind of take on our training individually, or we kind of gain that foundation of skill sets on our own, and then towards the end of the flow, we start to come together and really get to practice those skills and apply them together in real scenarios. And so that has really been a joy for me, and I think for all of us, to really get to start to do some of that together, really get to know each other, spend some time together. We even got to go out on a NOLS trip, so that's the National Outdoor Leadership School, and do some sea kayaking out in Eastern Washington, and just get to spend some time getting to know each other, understanding how we all function in an operational environment, and what kind of makes each other tick. And I think that's going to be really crucial on top of obviously the operational side of what we do. A big part of it is the teamwork and just the crew cohesion piece of being up on ISS.
And I would say that's one of the most important things. So NASA and our partners are really good about training us on the science, on the maintenance, and all the things that we need to accomplish. But that team spirit, that crew cohesion, I think is one of the things that you can't really train. And so we've had a lot of trips out to Hawthorne, California to train with SpaceX, and that's an opportunity when we have a chance to go out and have dinner together, to train together, to bond. Because that's what we carry into this mission. We get along great. It is just such a joy to be with to have these folks on this team, and to be a part of this team. And then to join the team that we have on the space station. We're really looking forward to seeing Sergey and Oleg and Dennis. We had a chance to train and work with them. And that's what makes us successful, is the teamwork and partnership. And getting to work with a great group of folks, both on space station and also here on the ground.
Thank you, Kjell. We will go to Andrea Leinfelder from the Houston Chronicle.
Hi. So I was hoping you could tell me why you chose the name Freedom for the capsule, and based on the timing, I have to ask if it was inspired at all by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Also, if you could explain the nicknames you just kind of threw out for each other as well. Thank you.
Question about names.
I think that for the name of the vehicle, we really want to celebrate the partnership of SpaceX and NASA, and what the Commercial Crew Program has brought to the table. We have resumed this ability to get our crew, our astronauts, to low Earth orbit, and I think that's very important. We want to celebrate what we see as a fundamental human right, and that is, and then also to celebrate, as we kind of put out in the statement, what the unfettered human spirit is capable of. And as also just kind of a reflection on how far we've come. Alan Shepard launched on a Mercury Redstone. There's one parked out on Rocket Park as you come into Johnson Space Center, and to see that first launch of Freedom 7 and to see where we are today is really a remarkable thing. And so we wanted to celebrate freedom for a new generation of space flyers.
And nicknames, right?
Oh yeah, nicknames.
I guess I'll take mine. So my call sign from the Air Force is farmer, and it has nothing to do with agriculture. I am actually named after a Russian airplane, which is the MiG-19, and the NATO call sign for it is a farmer. And it just stems. Most call signs have very little to do with something that you did well. And so for me, on my first check ride in the F-15, I had a switch error where I thought I had all these simulated missile kills. And it turned out when we watched the tapes that I was in a guns mode the whole time. And so they named me after a Russian fighter that doesn't carry missiles. It only shoots guns. And so I'm named after the MiG-19 farmer. So.
Waddy?
Yeah, mine's pretty straightforward. You'll hear these guys calling me Waddy just based on my last name is Watkins. So.
It's good.
I think that's all the nicknames.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys. So we are going to go ahead and start taking some questions from the phone bridge. A reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 to be added to the queue, or press *2 if your question has already been answered. For those on the phone, please also make sure to state your name and your outlet, and please state who your question is for. So let's go ahead and take the first question from Robert Perlman with Collect Space. And Robert, if you are muted, we cannot hear you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com. For the whole crew or whoever wants to take it, your crew patch sort of broke your tradition from the past and even future Dragon crews, moving the large element from a depiction of a mythical dragon to a dragonfly. Can you share the development of the patch as a crew, and if that uniqueness carries across to your personalities and approach as a crew together?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to share kind of the origination of that patch. The dragon is such a neat concept, and we really appreciate the kind of the lineage of patches from Crew 1, 2, and 3, and then also Demo 2. But I think that we wanted to reconnect with the Earth in our patch, and so looked for some element that could do that. And what better element than a namesake of a dragonfly, a beautiful and agile flyer, and also, you know, in many cultures, a sign of good fortune. And so we made that the centerpiece of our patch, and part of it also was as a kind of a call out to the launch team at Kennedy Space Center, the SpaceX team. The dragonfly is something of a, I wouldn't say a good luck charm, but it's something that has popped up before every launch out there. Remember during Demo 2, as the weather was kind of bad, a dragonfly landed on Doug's shoulder as they were getting out of the vehicles to go to the launch pad, and everybody kind of took that as a good sign. I actually got to serve as an astronaut support person for Crew 1's launch. I was out at the launch gantry and saw a dragonfly land on the crew arm, and subsequent launches that I haven't been able to attend. Folks from the support team have sent me photos of the dragonfly as they've landed in preparation for launch. So we really wanted to highlight that aspect as well, and then I think even better, the patch was designed by my daughter. So yeah, we were really excited about the designs that she came up with. I didn't actually tell these guys when I presented the art to them. I just said, hey, here's some versions of the patch, and I think we all fell in love. We loved all of them, but really fell in love with the one that we ultimately went with, and we really appreciate the great response that the patch has had as well.
I saw a dragonfly while we were walking in today, actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's in good shape.
And that's the other cool thing, is that there's something that, I mean, just like that. Like as you're walking around, you see a dragonfly. It's something that just warms your heart a little bit.
All right. We will take our next question from Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Describe for me. You're going to become the first Black woman to move long-term into any space station. What does it mean to you and others? Why do you think it's taken until 2022 to achieve? And Samantha, if you could also please talk about your take on being the lone woman in ESA's astronaut corps. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will start. Yeah, so this is certainly an important milestone, I think, both for our agency and for the country. And I think it really is just a tribute to the legacy of the Black women astronauts that have come before me, as well as to the exciting future ahead. And so I'm just honored to be a small part of that legacy moving forward. For me, growing up, it was important to me to have role models in roles that I aspire to be in, contributing in ways I aspire to contribute. So to the extent that I'm able to do that, I'm honored and grateful for the opportunity to return the favor. But we're just super excited to be a part of this crew and to execute the mission together.
Yeah, and from my side, well, that condition that you mentioned about me being the only woman in the European Astronaut Corps is bound to end very soon, and we are in the process of selecting a new class of astronauts. We had a huge response across all ESA member states. I think we got well over 20,000 solid valid applications. We are well into that process of selection now. I think we got a great response also from young female professionals across the continent compared to my selection back in 2009, where female applicants were only about 15–16%. I think we're about 25% now. And so we definitely expect to have some great female colleagues by the end of the year, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
Okay. Our next question comes from Paul Brinkman with Aerospace America.
Hi, yes, thanks for taking my question. I was wondering if one of you, I guess, astronaut Lindgren, could you just talk about the fact that this is a new Dragon? Are you aware of any new features that are on this Dragon that may have been added? And then what your training experience was like training for the Dragon? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that question. The training experience has been phenomenal, and I have somewhat of a unique perspective as I kind of joined that team several years ago, almost 4 years ago, as the backup for Bob and Doug and as the backup for Ike and Hopper for Crew-1. And so I've been working with that team, training with that team, a part of the test and development initially, and then really watched the training process mature over time. And so it's been a lot of fun to go through that training formally with this crew and to experience it firsthand. In terms of new capabilities, that is, I think, one of the really cool things that SpaceX brings to the table is that they are constantly trying to improve and to make things more efficient. I think the teams that we work with are always listening to our feedback and want to make things better. And so I think that a couple of things that come to mind. One, just in terms of our communications system within the vehicle, Vox is something that controls kind of the level of static. And so we have some visual indicators of how to set that now that just kind of take the guesswork out and make things, I think maybe we save a couple of minutes, but those are important minutes and kind of minimize some frustration. That was great. I think our favorite thing, though, is that we have USB charging ports in the spacecraft. This is something that goes to low Earth orbit and is going to get us to the space station, and I'm talking about USB ports. But yeah, it's the little things. Next coffee maker.
No Wi-Fi, though.
But we have tablets as a part that have some of our reference material on it, and so the ability to charge those tablets just, again, takes away this idea that we have to really monitor the use of the tablet to maintain the battery charging, and so those USB ports actually were a product of the Inspiration 4 mission, and so some of their private missions have fed capabilities into the NASA missions, and again, I think that this is just really demonstrates the power and agility of this commercial partnership with. Through the commercial crew program and the benefits that feed back to NASA as a result.
Yeah, 100% agree. I had the opportunity to participate in some of the verification events early on as well. Not quite as early on as Kjell did, but to watch the vehicle evolve over time and see the improvements that they have brought on board, especially in the human factors realm. Their willingness to listen, and even if we're just kind of spitballing something that could be an improvement, they'll come back to us a couple months later and say, hey, we heard you say this, and this is the thing we're working on. And it's been pretty amazing to watch them and work with them and really grow this partnership and see what we're able to do together. So it's been awesome.
Thanks, guys. Our next question is going to come from Michelle with CBS 4 News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Griego with CBS 4 in Denver, and I just want to congratulate all of you. But this question is for Jessica Watkins. We are very excited that somebody who is from Colorado is going up into space, and I just wanted to ask, or wanted to see if you could just talk about your connection to Colorado. I know your family still lives here. And also, you touched on this historic mission and this important milestone for the agency and the country. But if you could just talk maybe to young girls out there who are wanting to get into science, and especially girls of color, how important that is and what the need is.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, first of all, I'm super excited to represent Colorado with Kjell as well. I attended CU. But yes, my family, as you mentioned, lives in Boulder. That's where I grew up, went to high school there, went to Fairview High School in Boulder. And Colorado has a pretty good showing in the astronaut corps, actually, with quite a bit of representation. So I'm happy to add my name to the list and try to represent you all well. For your second question, yes, I certainly would encourage any young girls, young children of color, young children in general, to find something that you love and just pursue that relentlessly. For this job in particular, we're looking at the STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but anything within that realm. That's actually a pretty broad category to find something that you really love and just seek out opportunities to do that. For me, that often looked like internships. I was involved in several NASA internships kind of throughout my career before arriving here, and NASA does a great job investing in their internship program, and that just allows you the opportunity to get hands-on and get a little bit of experience while you're still in school and decide what it is that you really want to continue to pursue. And I was really lucky to have those opportunities. So I would just say to any young people to find that thing that you love and continue working hard at it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Our next question comes from Chelsea Goad at space.com.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my question. Yes, Chelsea from Space.com. Being Crew-4, you have a really great and incredible group of astronauts that have come before you in flying Dragons to the space station. Whether that be through these missions or through, as you mentioned, Inspiration 4. Have you been chatting with these other astronauts, with these former crews, and have they been giving you tips? Have you been working together? I'm curious what that collaboration has looked like in preparing for this mission.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the question. That is definitely a very important part of our training. It's not the formal training. That's the one that's like hard scheduled as classes with the instructor. But of course, it's also, as you say, very much important to learn from the experience of the crews that went before us. So when Crew 2 came back, they went through a very rigorous process of debriefing their mission. And so we were always invited to participate in those debriefs. Unfortunately, we were also very busy with our own training, so we couldn't always go. But we made a point of having an informal, like, pizza evening with the crew a few weeks after their return, when it was all still fresh in their mind, and they could really pass on parts of that experience. a lot of it has been really how it is to, the parts that are really a little bit more difficult to actually train in the formal training and the simulator. So how is it to live for a certain amount of time inside Dragon on the way to space station? How is the habitability of the vehicle? How do you actually sleep? How do you use the toilet? How do all those things, those practical things worked out? How about eating? How about stowage? And so they give us a lot of tips. Their feedback and their, the content of their debriefs informed also a process of improvement. As Kjell was mentioning earlier, it's a very agile program. So, both the SpaceX team and the NASA teams involved in Dragon, they work really hard, especially because it's still kind of the beginning of this program. It's still the early flights, to incorporate in the next flights all that feedback that they got from the previous crews. And actually just today we had an opportunity to have a call with Crew 3, with the guys and girls who are up there on the space station, just for some last minute tips from their side as they get ready to go into quarantine and get ready to launch in a few weeks. And then of course we'll have a lot of opportunities to get their knowledge and expertise once we get on orbit and we have our handover period before they return.
Yeah, I'd just add on to that. I think in our previous experience of training, I found that spending time around a dinner table, talking with folks that were in training or just recently returned from flight, that I think, and many people say it, is that's where you learn space flight, is in those kind of informal conversations, just asking questions and the opportunity to have just a conversation. And people have amazing stories that really drive points home. And you kind of I remember I was tucking those little pearls away for my own flight. And so I think that's something that we really try, as the Knowles expedition that Wadi talked about, really try to find opportunities where we can gather as our own crew and then gather with members of the team that works here in mission control, or with our international partners or our commercial partners, and then also to gather with other crews to be able to share kind of those tips and tricks. It's really, really important.
Okay, our next question comes from Russell Pounds with Pacific Rim Media.
Good morning and greetings from Alaska. This is Russell Pounds with Pacific Rim Media, and my question is for Jessica. I wanted to hear from you about mentors today, and you spoke about internships when you were older a few minutes ago, but can you recall an early story about a person who helped you discover your inner explorer and what age that first took place? Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Mentors have always been kind of a force that has continued me along a pathway and helped me decide and determine what that pathway would be kind of along the way. But I think having different mentors, of throughout your career has been instrumental for me in terms of getting where I am today. Certainly, I've had many teachers, science teachers, of course, at a young age in elementary school, and I remember. Again, a lot of those mentorships, again, came with opportunities to be able to go out on field trips or go look at interesting things in the lab that really kind of sparked my interest and kind of fueled my fire along the way. I also have had many coaches along my kind of career, athletically as well as academically, that have also helped kind of guide me and shape me and mold me, if you will, as a whole human, which I think is a really important piece of what we do here now, and also getting to be here is being able to have all aspects of yourself be kind of diverse and making sure that you are involved in many different things so that your whole self is kind of being fed. Those were definitely lessons that I've learned from mentors along the way, and I'm really grateful for all those people in my life. My family and friends as well. Hi, Mom.
They made a great human. I think that's one of the really cool things about this, this career field especially, but there are lots of them out there, is the opportunity to reflect on how you got here. And we get asked this question a lot, and it is super humbling to be able to sit in a position like this and reflect on those kinds of things and the people that influenced you along the way and how many there are. There's the cast of thousands that not only take part in our training and preparing the vehicle and all of that kind of stuff, but also going all the way back to our childhood. Like everybody that we interacted with along the way was foundational in helping us to achieve this. And that's something that I know we talk a lot about, is in some way finding a way to bring all of them along on this mission with us. And so all of you watching out there are part of this, and so you are 100% part of the Crew-4 team.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
That's where your class name came from, even.
That's right.
Turtles.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, our next question comes from David Curley with Discovery News.
Thanks very much. David Curley from the Discovery Channel. For the spacewalkers, can you talk a little bit about the EMUs? They're long past their sell-by date. I would assume the practice suits at JSC might be a little bit more worn. Give us a sense of what it's like getting into one of these well-used suits. We talked about the water issue in the last news conference about the last spacewalk. And have any of you had anything to do with XEMU development? And can you tell us what you've told folks? Thank you.
I'll just start out and say, when you think about the EMU, this extravehicular mobility unit, it is, I think, a modern miracle of engineering. When you put this spacesuit on, it is a miniature spacecraft. We have a safety tether that hooks us to the space station, but everything that we need to survive, water, cooling, or thermal protection, an atmosphere, scrubbing carbon dioxide, the provision of oxygen at an appropriate pressure, all in a vehicle that is essentially molded to our bodies so that we're able to move around and do work. It is incredible. And we've been asking things of this spacesuit that were never really expected when it was originally designed. So it's a testament to the original designers, a testament to the engineers that have continued its operation, and a testament to the trainers who have taught us how to maintain the spacesuit on orbit. This was originally designed that after every spacewalk, after every mission, to come back down here, get refurbished, and then sent back up. And we keep these spacesuits on orbit to do the work up there. So it is definitely been extended past kind of its original intention, but it is still an amazing piece of equipment that allows us to do incredible things outside of the space station. That being said, we are about to I guess, I don't know how far we are from XEMU becoming operational, but this opportunity now to fold in new technologies and provide our crew members with new capabilities as we return to a rocky surface is really extraordinary. And so I don't have a whole lot of experience with XEMU. Do you?
A little bit, yes. And I think that what you're kind of bringing up, Kjell, is really important. It's this idea of what we are able to do on ISS as a proving ground, or as a means of developing technology that is going to allow us to pave the way to Moon and Mars. And I think EMU, with the transition to XEMU, is an example of that, to enable us to be able to do real field work on a rocky surface, as you say. And as a geologist, that's super exciting. The idea of being able to bend down and pick up a rock. It sounds very trivial, but it is going to be very exciting, and the science that we're going to get out of that. Exactly. We're very excited about it.
That's awesome.
Okay, our next question comes from Zachary Aubert with the Launchpad News.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the questions. And I can just say we love the energy of this crew. You can just feel how much of a family you are. So we're excited to see you guys launch. Jessica and Robert, with this being your first space flight, is there something specifically you're most looking forward to? We've obviously heard the zero gravity or the view from previous astronauts on their first flight, but something you're looking to. And Kjell and Samantha, you guys are getting to go back after quite a while, maybe something that you've been longing to get to experience again from your first flight. And it's always a big question, what's the zero-G indicator? You mentioned that your daughter helped design the patch. Has it already been decided, and were your kids part of that decision as a crew?
It's classified. Yes, zero-G indicator has been decided, and it will be revealed at a later date. Yes, this is my first flight, Waddy's as well, and obviously I'm sure we're both really excited. I'm really excited. This is a boyhood dream, obviously, and so that whole culmination of that is really exciting. We kind of talked about it earlier. It's kind of surreal to be in a position like this, but to think ahead, it's really hard on a first-time flight, at least for me, to think beyond the things that you talked about. Like the first thing I want to do when I get up there after SECO, once that engine cuts off, I want to unstrap and go look out the window, right? Like that was part of what drove me to be a pilot. I love seeing things from a new perspective, and this is kind of the ultimate part of that, is getting to look outside and see the Earth and see this wonderful creation that we get to live on, seeing it from a new perspective and the beauty that it displays every day. So really looking forward to that. And then getting onto space station, certainly the people part of it. The more we go through training, there's all the technical aspects of everything. But as you alluded to, our crew is awesome. We've got more awesome crewmates on orbit. We've got 2 more classmates on orbit that we get to go overlap with for a little while. And the opportunity to just go do this incredible thing with people that we love is just awesome. And so we're really, really looking forward to spending time with everybody up there.
All right. Anyone else?
What Farmer said. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I guess I would say for myself, in terms of going back, really, really excited to be launching from Kennedy Space Center. Growing up and watching shuttle missions, being inspired by the images of our Apollo astronauts working on the moon, to launch a mission from this historic site, to the ability to have friends and family just drive out to watch that launch, and to experience part of this incredible privilege that we have of being part of the NASA and international partner team. That is really exciting to me. This feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and so the privilege of getting to do it a second time is a little surreal.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take our first question from social media before we go back to the phone bridge. A reminder, if you are on the phone and you have a question, please press *1 to be added to the queue, or *2 if your question has already been answered. But we will take our first social media question now. Natalie on Twitter would like to know about any pre-flight traditions that the crew has.
Well, Waddy and I are first-time flyers. We don't have any traditions.
The great thing about being a veteran flyer is that we get to make up traditions and tell them, yeah, you totally have to do that. I think they're onto us, though. I think
the rookies have to get dinner for the
the rookies pay for everything. You didn't know that? One tradition that I actually had from my last mission was to launch some model rockets with the family. And so I think that that's something that we'd like to do as we're with our families at KSC getting ready for our flight. Just being on the beach and launching some model rockets together, I think is something that I think we're going to do. Yeah.
Samantha?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to learning about these new traditions. I mean, on my first flight, just like Kjell, we flew out of Baikonur, and that's a place that's really steeped in traditions. It's almost like being part of this ritual path towards launch. Like, as you approach launch, you just really go through those milestones that every other crew has gone through since, possibly Yuri Gagarin. And I like that. I mean, it was, I think in some ways it took the burden away of this momentous event that was coming. You got excited about it, but because you were going through all this ritual steps, it kind of felt yeah, ritualized. You know, it felt like you were just repeating
like
something that had happened before. Yeah. Exactly. And so, you know, I think from Canada it will be very much the same, but it's my first time launching from there, and so just like you, I'm looking forward to discovering those traditions.
And I think the prior crews, having worked with Bob and Doug and Ike and Hopper and some of the subsequent crews, they really felt that. They recognize that this is a historic thing that we're embarking upon, launching in a new rocket. And so I think that they thought a lot about, hey, what are some previous traditions, and do we borrow from those, and do we borrow from our Soyuz experience too? Because that's very much a part of our spaceflight experience. And so I think that we've tried to introduce new traditions as we've gone along, and then I think we've heard that some crews have done some things, and we're like, yeah, I don't think we're going to do that.
I think, as a first-time flyer, launching from KSC is a tradition in and of itself for us. And so the opportunity to go do that is pretty amazing. I remember my first time being at the Cape and going into crew quarters, and I was with I actually wasn't an astronaut at the time. I was an instructor pilot. And we were in crew quarters, and we dropped a bunch of bags off, and we ran back outside, and everybody got in the rental cars. And I had this surreal moment of like, those metal doors I just walked through are the doors that I've watched the astronauts come out and get in the Astrovan from. And I just had this moment where I'm like, somebody has to take my picture in front of this door right now. And they're like, we're hungry, get in the car. And so like just being part of that whole process of launching from the Cape and the history that is down there is just amazing. And so it's really exciting to get to be a part of that.
Thank you. We are going to go back to the phone bridge. We will take a question from Kenneth Chang from the New York Times.
Hello. You've all been talking about camaraderie and teamwork. And I was just wondering, there's also this situation on the ground in Ukraine where the United States and Russia are on opposite sides. I was wondering how you approach this when you're up in space and this is a situation you have no control over. Is this something a topic you would just avoid talking about, especially with your Russian colleagues? Or would you look to have discussions and get possibly different views? Thank you.
Yeah, that's an important question. We are certainly not immune to the geopolitical situation right now. These are very challenging times. But this is our job, and we've been given the privilege of this mission, going to the space station, maintaining its operation, and conducting the science and research that so many from around the world have invested in, and creating that operational bridge for the programs in front of us, Moon and Mars. And so we take that very seriously. Thousands of people have invested so many hours in our training. And so we very much look forward to getting on orbit and working with our Russian colleagues, our friends up there, in having a safe and successful mission and getting everybody back home safely. So I think that we will do the things that need to be done to make sure that we can do that safely and efficiently. Sergey and Dennis are amazing space flyers. We've had the opportunity to train with them, to have meals with them. And we very much look forward to working with them on orbit.
Okay, we are going to go back to social media. A reminder, if you have any questions for us on social media, please use the hashtag AskNASA to send those to us. Right now I have a question from Basil Frankweiler, who is a 4th grader, and he asks, will you be eating the chili peppers on the station that the last crew
What's the shelf life of the chili peppers?
But will you be eating the produce that is grown on the space station?
Yeah, I think unfortunately there are no peppers left because after taco night with Crew 3, I think they maybe have completed their harvest.
Will you be growing any new plants?
So there is a payload up there. I got to participate in that last time. It was a project called Veggie, where we grew red romaine lettuce, and our crew was actually the first U.S. crew to grow and eat a crop. And that is an amazing thing, to get to care for a plant, to plant it, and then to watch it grow to the size that it can be harvested, to recognize that this could be a really important part of future spaceflight, as as a source of food, and even as a part of our environmental control system. And to recognize, to see this part, a little part of what science fiction has described for a long time, and to be a part of that. And then to have that as a part of a meal was really a lot of fun. We have, I think, it's been 7 years since I flew, and so those projects have continued to the point now where we're looking at different ways of growing plants, and we'll be doing that. I think the project's called X-Roots.
X-Roots.
Yeah. And so aeroponic and hydroponic strategies for growing plants. I'm really excited to hear what we're going to be growing. I'm a little bummed that we missed out on the peppers, but I know that you're really bummed too, Jessica.
Yes,
but yeah, we're excited. And so this is a really cool thing about the science that we do on station, is that you can see a lot of the benefits and how they help us extend our presence in the solar system and enable our future exploration, and also how the applications that they have for the Earth. We recycle almost over 95% of our water. And we can see how that has direct benefits to Earth and the provision of clean water to communities that don't have access to it. The ability to grow plants and crops, without arable soil, I think that we can see those benefits as well. And then to imagine Crew someday having a whole module dedicated to the growth of edible plants is really a cool thing. And I just kind of imagine floating into that and being surrounded by green and breathing in that natural air is really cool. So,
absolutely. We have another question from Twitter that is also about life on the space station. Karen asks how often station astronauts are allowed to talk to loved ones.
I haven't been there yet, but I'm told. So coming out of the military, one of the things that I've identified, in terms of, I guess, my baseline for what I know of keeping in touch with family was we would get one 15-minute phone call every week, and it was monitored, and there was somebody that would come on every 5 minutes and give you a countdown, and then the last minute. It is not at all like that. And from my understanding is it's even better from when these two were up there, when they had to walk uphill both ways in the snow to get to the station. But we have an IP phone. We're able to call our families pretty often, and then we get roughly once a week the opportunity to have a video conference with our families back home, which I think is really, really important. It's a good way to stay connected. Everybody is familiar with the different video chat type technologies that are out there, and so to be able to have that and still stay, I have 3 daughters at home, and so to be able to stay connected with them, and maybe they'll carry around the iPad a little bit while they're doing something, hopefully not swimming, but to just stay connected with the things that are going on at the house is pretty special, and so I think it will be, I'll find it easier than the military deployments that we did, definitely.
Yeah, we certainly get truly spoiled by the ground team here at JSC and across NASA. They take really good care of us, and we're super lucky to be a part of that team.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. All right, I think now we will take one more follow-up from the phone bridge. We will pass it to David Curley from Discovery Channel.
Thank you very much for the second question. Kjell, this is for you. It's going to sound like a follow-on from Kenneth Chang's question about Ukraine, but it's really not. It's about space culture. Christina Cook has talked a little bit about this. Can you? And secondly, did you pick the picture with the straight face in the crew photo?
Man, I have gotten so much grief from these guys. I know. You planted that question, didn't you?
Of the 4 of us, the one person who's not smiling should not be Kjell. That's the hilarious part about it.
I did pick that picture. I don't know. I didn't like the pictures of me smiling. So, and I asked my wife, and she's usually, she gave me a thumbs up. So
It's the most important one.
I know. Yeah, my wife said that it was good. So you guys will all have to deal with it.
That's right.
And I missed the first half of that question. The culture. Oh, yeah. We get to. That's one of the cool things about this is that we are a part of that culture. And of course, as newcomers to the station when we arrive, there is a culture that has been established by the team that is already there. And so, of course, we want to be good team members, and we want to respect the culture that has been established. For my past flight, when I arrived, Scott Kelly was already on station, so he really kind of established the culture that Kimia, my Japanese crewmate, and I came into, and it was great. You know, this time around, we will be coming into a culture that's been established by Crew 3 and our Russian crewmates. But within a few days, you know, Crew 3 will leave, and so we'll have the opportunity to make decisions about, hey, we really want to eat lunch together, and so let's ask the ground about trying to get our schedules situated so that we can do that. Or we really want to protect this time, and so I think that we've gotten to know each other really well, and I think that we'll make some decisions along the lines of what we think works best for our crew and works best with our Russian colleagues as well. And we have the privilege of Samantha serving as our USOS lead during this mission, and so I know that she's going to be talking with the ground and kind of advocating for a lot of those things as we progress through our mission. You know, cultures are malleable and changeable, and so I think that we have this unique opportunity to adjust that to make sure that we're working efficiently and having a good time while we're doing it.
Thanks, Kjell. All right, I think we have some time for a few follow-ups here in the room, so we'll go to Mark Carreau.
Thank you, Mark Carreau, Aviation Week. In December of 2020, two of you were selected for the Artemis team, and I'm wondering what this mission means to you and that prospect in the years ahead. Thank you.
I think 3 of you were selected for Artemis. 2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. Yes, no, so certainly, you know, we kind of touched on how this mission and how the mission of the ISS overall really is kind of paving the way to enable the success of the Artemis program. Certainly in terms of technology, developing robotics and other technologies that will allow that, including thinking about radiation protection. Those are experiments that are ongoing on station to help solve that problem, as well as kind of the operational capabilities, learning how to work together on board, but also with the ground team, especially a ground team that might be a little bit less accessible than the one is currently for us on ISS. So that's an ongoing kind of question and something that we're pursuing as well. And then there's the human research aspect as well. So getting to do science on ourselves, on each other, and learn,
Trust me.
You know, learn how the human body responds to long duration spaceflight and ways that we can help mitigate any negative effects. So thinking about exercise, for example, we've made huge gains in terms of reducing bone loss when we return from Earth, return to Earth, those types of things. So I think all of those kind of incremental progress that we have made over the course of ISS and that we'll contribute to during our mission will really enable us to be successful in Artemis.
And what an amazing time to be a part of NASA. Like I feel like we won the lottery. We have a program. I mean, we have Artemis and we have Orion and we have a human landing system programs that are figuring out ways to get our astronauts and our partners to the moon and landing on the moon and with Mars in our sights. You know, I think there's kind of a running joke that Mars is always 30 years away, and I have felt that horizon shrink considerably, and so that is incredibly exciting. I mean, we have served as an infrastructure for a commercial program, and now we have. I mean, it just seems like there are rocket companies launching every week, and a robust program to get cargo to the space station, and all these commercial companies that are vying to be a part of our return to the moon. So it's an extraordinary time to be here. It's so exciting to see all of the activity that's going on, and now to get to go to the space station and really be the eyes and hands for the team that is figuring these things out, figuring out this path and the technologies that are required to get back to the moon and to go on to Mars is really extraordinary.
Yeah, you know, historically you look at it and we were a strand of things, right? Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Soyuz, and then shuttle. And now it's a web,
Yeah.
right? Like it is a web. The space industry is just incredible. And as NASA pivots to the moon and Mars, that pivot point is space station. All right, so all that technology is going to space station where we develop it and refine it before we pivot and send it off to the moon and then eventually to Mars. So it's an incredible time to be here.
That will all be illustrated quite profoundly when we get to watch Artemis 1 launch from on board.
Yeah.
So if you guys can put in a plug so that our, it just works out that we're over Florida somewhere when Artemis launches, that would be awesome.
I'd like that shot.
That would be
So would we.
amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. That was one of the coolest things actually during my last mission. Our pointing folks and the folks that are kind of tracking our orbital path would send up notes saying, hey, we have a Soyuz launch or a Progress launch or a Cygnus launch. If you look out this window at this time, you should be able to see it. And I never really thought that that was possible, that you could actually see those launches. And yet one night, so we knew that there was a Progress launch. It was dark over Kazakhstan. We all got into the cupola together and we're watching the ground. And I mean, sure enough, we saw a little dot, kind of where we thought Baikonur would be. And then we saw that light blossom. And then we saw that light climb off the ground, and you could see the illumination from the rocket below it. And it just absolutely blew my mind that we could see that with our own eyes. And then just watch that dot climb up, and we had passed over the top at that time and watched it climb up through the horizon. That was profound. And so if we get to see Artemis do that, that would be
pretty
amazing.
epic.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you guys to come back with more of those stories.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one more question from Gina Sinceri at ABC News.
This is for Samantha. You're going on a spacewalk. Will you wear a U.S. suit, a Russian suit? And if I remember correctly, your gloves were on the Cygnus that blew up. Did they ever replace your spacewalking gloves, and who did?
So there's a little bit of conflation of aspects there. So I have now trained in the EMU on this training floor. I have only trained in the Russian spacewalking suit. It's called Orlan. The gloves are not mine, like for life. They were like my gloves back then, but then they've been used by other crew members. I actually know for a fact that Anne McLean has used those gloves, which was kind of excited. We are like glove twins, I guess, or hen twins. But maybe other crew members have. I mean, they're definitely not like my gloves. But yeah, but this on this specific flight, if I get to do a spacewalk, which was 100% not sure, then it could only be a spacewalk in the Russian Orlan suit.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, that she is trained in the U.S. system with our EMU, and is now trained and certified to fly the Orlan system. Is an amazing thing.
Not many
so
people
cool.
that are dual qualified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, folks, that's going to be all the time that we have for today. Thank you to the Crew-4 for joining us today. Thank you to everyone in the room, on the phone, and on social media who sent us your questions. Please make sure to tune in to watch these astronauts launch on the Crew Dragon Freedom from Kennedy Space Center to the International Space Station on April 20th. You can tune in on nasa.gov, the NASA TV app, as well as all of the NASA social media channels. That's going to conclude today's press conference. Thank you and have a wonderful day.